Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Joncooli Show. Today I'm joined by my brother, and we go over our top 5 Christmas movies. Now, I know that it's been a long time since we've been recording anything for this channel, but this is all taken from my Twitch channel, which I go live on multiple times a week. So if you want to go hang out with me, you can do that over at twitch.tv/The Show. Seems like it was a hit having my brother on, so we'll probably have him on maybe like once a month or so going forward. If we get a fixed date for that, I will let you guys know that so you know when it's coming up. Other than that, here's just a friendly conversation between the two of us. It was a little bit slapdash. We kind of decided to do this at the last minute, so it's not the most polished thing that you'll ever see on this channel, but it's a lot of fun. We're just hanging out together. So if you're interested, go check that out, leave a like, and tell me down in the comments, what is your favorite Christmas movie or your top 5 Christmas movies? This conversation goes pretty off the rails, but I still really enjoy it. If you want to see the entire thing, there is a version of this on my other YouTube channel, which you can find down in the comments below. And that'll have the full like 3-hour version of the conversation with my brother and I. We go in a lot of different directions. It's very silly. But if you only want to know our top 5 Christmas movies, here they are. Enjoy, everybody. Merry Christmas. I'm going to finish the water in this cup, then pour some eggnog in this cup, and then we'll keep going. But for right here, right now, Jonathan, do you want to start us off? First off, do you want to say anything about yourself? I'm assuming not, but other than that, you can jump straight into your number 5.
You know my relationship with the internet, yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware. It was a hard fight just getting him on camera the first time. And when he thought it was going live, he almost had a panic attack. He's like, we're not just going to edit this?
I did
like,
almost panic with the live. I was like, well, that's too much pressure. Yeah. You know, I saw Home Alone in the theater with 2 of my best friends when it first came out, the original like 1990 Home Alone. And we laughed literally till I cried. The first time in my life I'd ever understood that phrase. So yeah, I'm gonna give that number 5 to Home Alone.
Nice choice. It doesn't make my list, but at the same time, it was definitely, well, I guess we're spoiling things. I said don't spoil things, then I spoil the very first one you talk about. Home Alone's a great choice. It is the first movie I ever took the twins to. That was their first time in theaters. Now, I'm not that old. The twins are pretty young, but they re-released it. Yeah. And we took the kids to go see it. So that's kind of fun that it's, it has a special place in my heart for that reason. That being said, watching that movie in 18 or something with like 6-year-old kids, I'm like, oh, the 90s were a different time. Some of the stuff they do and get away with in that movie, you're just like, ooh.
That's funny.
Everybody in this chat, so I've been asking people because I've been on for like, what are your top 5s? And like, not many people have said Home Alone, but a lot of people have said Home Alone 2, which is interesting because I definitely put Home Alone as a higher pick. Yeah. So like, I honestly, I couldn't even tell you the last time I saw Home Alone 2. But Nemesis was gracious enough to send us a little clip of it, and I was laughing. It's actually pretty funny, and it's like, okay, maybe that is worth the rewatch. Alexander says that Jesse thinks that Home Alone 2 is bigger for 90s born kids.
That could be.
It's possible.
My kids have watched a lot of Home Alone 2 on repeat. I like is it Tim Curry's the butler, is that right? No.
Not the butler, the guy at the hotel. Whatever that's called. Not the maitre. Is it maitre d'?
Yeah. Oh, why?
I don't know.
Anyway, don't worry. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's fun parts, but yeah, Home Alone 1 by a long margin for me.
So I would say another mildly interesting tidbit is our mother, way back in the day, was obviously a big movie-going fan back then. Tim Curry was the concierge at the hotel, Jesse's saying.
Tim Curry, yeah, thank you. Okay.
Our mother's a big movie-going fan, but she also tried to convince us to read more often than we were, and so she bought me the Home Alone 2 young adult book. Yeah, and I wanted to see the movie so badly. I read that entire book in one day, just sat around just like killing it. And when she got home, I was nervous that she was going to think that I was lying because it was like, I've never read an entire book in one day. And it was like, it was a maybe 150 page book. Like it wasn't a big book, but I was, young at the time. And like, she didn't question it at all. She's like, okay. And I want to say we went like that night because I'm sure she was dying to see it too. And it was just like, It was very easy to convince mom to do things back then, right? Like, didn't take much arm twisting to get her to go to a movie.
Yeah.
All right, my number 5, because I'm somewhat making this list off the top of my head. I was really hoping to find a 5th movie that fit better into this list, but because I couldn't, I am going to go with this movie, but it's going to be higher up on the list. So ironically, I am bumping down some things in my list for a movie that shouldn't actually be on this list at all. That's really weird, and we're going to get there. But for number 5, I'm going to say Elf. The
Oh boy.
I know, I figured this would be a conversation. This movie has grown on me significantly. The first time I saw this movie, I hated it. I really didn't care for it at all. I am not a big Will Ferrell fan, but this is one that my kids really like, and that has made it grown on me pretty significantly. There are parts of this movie that are cringy as hell and is incredibly hard to watch, but watching it through my kids, the lens of my kids enjoying it has really brought this one up for me. I do think Will Ferrell is funny in it, and I do appreciate that his style of humor, where he just like yells a lot, actually kind of makes sense in this. Like the fact that he's like super over animated makes sense in this movie where it doesn't in a lot of other movies. So even though he's being ridiculous, it's actually a pretty fun watch, and it kind of makes sense. I love the Bob Newhart being his dad character, but he's like he's so Bob Newhart, but it works in this one. I think Zooey Deschanel is absolutely adorable, and I think Will Ferrell and her have a lot of chemistry, and that goes a long way as well. James Caan is a fantastic actor who this is not one of my favorite performances of his. Nothing against him, don't think he's doing anything wrong. I guess you just have to have a Scrooge in the movie, and it's just unfortunate. Like, I don't know. Them connecting is kind of the heart of the movie, and at the same time, it just feels like he's in a different movie in a weird way.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's fun going back to this one too, actually knowing who Peter Dinklage is from Game of Thrones now, and seeing him, because like I saw this before Game of Thrones, and I was like, that's just an angry elf. But now going back to it, be like, oh yeah, no, he's actually a phenomenal actor playing in this role. Like it's a family fun one. It's a one we have a good time with. The kids really love it. It's on my list. I'm sure there are people who are going to hate me for that, but so be it. My list, I get to say what I put on it. What are your thoughts on Elf? Do you have any?
I have thoughts.
I figured you would.
I actually had the exact same experience as you. I saw it once. I didn't watch it again for probably 10 years. What year is that? Yeah, probably at least 10 years. And then bought it on DVD because other people kept talking about it. And I think my kids maybe saw it somewhere and wanted to see it again or something.
Sure.
And since that time, it's been an annual watcher and probably a few times a year with the kids.
Oh, wow. So you watch this outside of Christmas time?
What's that?
So you watch this outside of Christmas time?
No, a few times at Christmas.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. For those who don't know, and that's literally all of you, Jonathan has like 78 kids. So it makes sense that their schedules don't all line up and you'd have to watch things multiple times to get things in with all of them.
Yeah, more and more as it goes.
Hopefully not, but you know.
Not more and more kids.
Oh, okay.
More schedules.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I was like, uh-oh, what are you trying to say? Stop at 47. It's enough.
Surprise, internet. So number 4 for me is going to be the 1966 Grinch, which is still the best Grinch. Period.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you talked about Christmas or TV movies making the cut, this is the first one that came to mind. This and Charlie Brown's Christmas.
I was thinking of those two. Yeah, exactly. And then there's some episode stuff, and we agreed exactly on that. No episodes, but TV, made for TV specials, made for TV movies.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to get The Simpsons episode 1 there.
Genre. Yeah. So I love the Grinch. I love the music. I have it on VHS, which we still watch it on.
Wow. You still have a VCR.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I went back to buy it at Walmart and they were all out. So I'm still working on that.
I think this is one of the few that I don't actually have on DVD and probably should be. Chat is agreeing with you in a big way. Commander Faust, here. Hefe, Grinch is the bomb. He is my favorite X-Men personally. I keep reading that as X-Men and I'm like, he's not an X-Man. What are you talking about? He's my favorite X-Men personality. Faust, original is the best. As a kid, I felt bad for the dog. Dog is Sam, yes. I want to say? Max. Dog is Max.
Max.
When you mention the Grinch, the very first thing that comes to mind for me is Grandma and Grandpa's apartment in Toronto. They had that little bedroom in their, their little TV in their bedroom. And I can remember watching that on that little TV while I'm sure all the other adults were like visiting in the other room or something. So like that brings back huge memories for me. And I've seen bits and pieces of it since, but I don't think I've ever sat down and watched the entire thing in quite some time. And now that you mention it, that might be one that I need to pick up and show the kids while they're still young so they can have an appreciation for it while they're older.
Yes.
Because you're right.
If you like, I'll recite it for them. We'll do a video call.
Fair enough. They're familiar with the story because obviously the Dr. Seuss book, but also there's a newer version done by Scott Mosier, which is like animated. It came out like 2 or 3 years ago, which is really good. It's not the original. And of course the Jim Carrey version, and somebody was mentioning a Benedict Cumberbatch version, which I've never even heard of. So I might need to check that one out.
That's the 2018 Dr. Seuss's The Grinch. Definitely might come up in the honorable mentions. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you got 2 Grinches in here. Yeah. So for my number 4, we're going to go with a newer one actually. And this is a Netflix exclusive. It's also animated. And it's one that we have been watching since it came out. It's from 2019 and it's called, I might pronounce this wrong, Klaus or Claus. It would make sense that it'd be Claus, but I'm pretty sure they pronounce it Klaus in the movie. It's got Jason Schwartzman doing his best David Spade impersonation to the point where every year when I watch this, I have to look it up because I'm like, there's no way this isn't David Spade. There's no way this isn't David Spade. And it's not, it's Jason Schwartzman. J.K. Simmons is amazing as the role of Klaus or Santa Claus. It's the story, if you're not familiar, have you seen it before?
I feel like my kids have seen it and I've walked in and out and I don't think I've sat down and watched this one.
It's definitely worth checking out. Jesse says that it made him bawl, but Jesse's a huge troll, so we have no idea if that's accurate or not. It's the story of this like rich, pompous, his dad works for like the postal service and he's never had to do anything in his life. And his dad kind of forces him to go to this middle of nowhere town that never sends any letters to anybody and be the postman there. And while he's there, he has to reach a milestone of like get like 100,000 letters sent out for the postal service. And then once he does that, then he can come back to his lap of luxury. But like the town is divided into 2 families who hate each other. Nobody's sending messages to anybody because nobody's ever left the town. So they've got nobody to send letters to. And he has to try and like get them to be excited. And how he does it is he basically makes up the story of Christmas. Like Christmas doesn't really exist. There's no Santa Claus, but he discovers J.K. Simmons living out in the woods who has these toys and like gets the kids to write letters to Santa Claus or to Klaus asking for toys. Then he delivers the toys. And it's the story of friendship between him and Klaus becoming close. It's the story of, anyway, I won't ruin it beyond that, but it's kind of a weird reimagining of the Christmas story, like the myth behind the Christmas story. It's really, really well done. The voice acting is fantastic. The animation is really, really good. And I love that story. It's one that we've watched every year since it came out. And it's my number 4. It is a kids movie for sure. But if you've got kids or even if you've got the Christmas spirit in you, like definitely check it out. What about number 3?
Number 3 for me is where Elf came in.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
It is from that far. And like I said, I'm right with you. Did not enjoy the first watching. Didn't feel a need to go back there. I think I was having a fight with my brother-in-law about it being a Christmas classic. I think that's where we started to watch it again. So I kind of hate that it's on my list, I guess. But
fair enough.
No, it's a lot of fun. There's definitely. Yeah. I on my top 10 list, it might have been number 5, but when I had to jiggle things around, things go out of order when you try to get from 10 to 5.
That's fair.
Just cut off the bottom 5. It gets a little funny. So
That's interesting that made it up that far.
Right there. Yeah.
For a second there, my brain took a second to catch up to what you were saying. We're like, oh, I had a fight with my brother. I'm like, no, you didn't. I don't. When did we ever fight about this? And like, brother-in-law. Oh, right. You have to full sentence, Dan. Well done.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I actually have a hand-drawn arrow between Elf and the Grinch because I was going back and forth which was 3 and which were 4. They were kind of battling it out. So
okay.
Elf this year. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. I'm a little bit surprised that it made both of our lists, but it makes perfect sense that both of us were like, no, absolutely not. Yeah, okay, maybe. This is actually good. Yeah. Okay, now I like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, out of curiosity, would you ever watch it without your kids? Is there a world in which all of your kids have moved out? You're in your 70s because you've got so many freaking kids that could take a while.
If I came across this on cable and it's a month before Christmas, I would probably stick with it.
Fair enough. You have cable still? What the frick?
No, I'm just saying if you made me 70, I'm probably gonna have cable before I live in the 70s.
I was gonna say, like, I know there's nothing to do in Manitoba, but my God, man, between having 47 kids and cable, like, wow, there really is nothing to do in Manitoba. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm with you on that one. Like, if it was on, like, if TBS existed and it was on TBS, I might stop flipping channels. But I don't know that if I was by myself, I would ever like take the time to take the DVD out of the case, put it in the Xbox, hit play. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that would ever happen on my own.
Right.
But it's cute enough that, yeah, if I'm flipping channels and it's on, I'll definitely check it out. Sorry, that was your number 3, right?
That was my number 3.
Okay, so here is the conversation starter.
Oh boy. Because
I'm torn between myself. So, like, worst case scenario, I might have a conversation with myself live on air and you can just kind of sit back. But I'd love to have your input. My number 3 is Die Hard. Now, when I say there's a conversation with myself, there's a whole bunch of conversations going on because I will fight you tooth and nail that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. In fact, there are other movies that are like Christmas classics that I think are less Christmassy than Die Hard is. So I will gladly have that argument with somebody if they want to sometime, or that debate. That being said, when actually tasked with the job of creating a top 5 Christmas movies, this one feels really, really weird to put on that list. And it's maybe the first time in like a decade where I've actually questioned if it's a Christmas movie, because it's not one that I watch with my family. It's not one that I watch at Christmas time. It is a movie that I can watch any time of the year and thoroughly enjoy. But if I'm not watching it at Christmas time, I'm not watching it with my family. Does it count? Does it make the list? And this is the one that I wanted to replace. This is the one that I was talking about where like I want to come up with 5 that doesn't include this movie because of that reason. But when it comes right down to it, like, this just is a phenomenal movie. This is one of the best action movies ever made. I mean, I'm not the biggest Bruce Willis fan, but he is perfect in this role. Hans Gruber is not his real name. Who plays Hans Gruber?
Well, now I'm stuck.
Snape. I can name like all of the movies he's in. Jesse, help me out here. I know you're there still.
He's also,
He's from Dogma. Oh my goodness. Anyways, that actor who's rolling in his grave the fact that I can't come up with his name because I love him in everything. Alan Rickman. Thank you so much, Faust. Alan Rickman is phenomenal in this. One of the better. Everybody's yelling at me now. I've got multiple people in chat yelling at me. Alan Rickman, one of the better character actors, period. Phenomenal in this movie. And if I remembered my lore correctly, and I should have looked this up before we went live with this. Oh shoot, no, I'm not going to say because I will be speaking out of turn. But there's something with him in this role. Like, this was his first role ever, and like he didn't want it. Like, he was a stage actor and kind of got talked into it, and kind of made a major Hollywood career because of it. But it wasn't like he wasn't seeking this out, if I remember correctly. It kind of like fell into his lap or was talked into it or something. Anyways, I could be horribly wrong on that. There is a story between him and this movie, but I can't quite remember it. I think it is his first Hollywood movie, though. Anyways, so I was really torn on putting this one on the list because I do think it's a Christmas movie, but it doesn't feel Christmassy.
I'm with you. I'm okay with it being a Christmas time movie anyway. Give me that argument, though.
Which one?
Die Hard as a Christmassy Christmas movie, more Christmassy than Christmas movies.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, I see. It's like that. Okay.
There's another movie on this list that I can directly do the correspondence between the two, and we'll get there when we get there.
I'm very worried about your list right now.
My list is weird. I get that, but like it's personalized to me. I'm not saying these are the best Christmas movies ever made. I'm saying these are my favorite Christmas movies.
I enjoyed Die Hard. It wasn't on my top 10 when I started with the top 10, but I do have a friend that we try to watch it every year at Christmas. Partly because of the whole kitschy, is it a Christmas movie or isn't it sort of discussion. Having said that, I don't think there's a part that makes me, brings a tear to my eye or anything like that if you're thinking of your classic Christmas movie ethos. So that's why I'm curious to have that discussion.
And that was a good point.
That Christmas, I think people should have an option that appeals to everybody. And so somebody out there needs Die Hard at Christmas time.
So that was actually a good point that my wife brought up last night, is that for her, Christmas movies are feel-good movies, and Die Hard is not a feel-good movie. So that was a point where I kind of really had to concede there, because I'm like, yeah, no, you kind of got me there. Okay, number 2, I guess, then, for you?
Now you want to do honorable mentions.
I was going to do honorable mentions between 2 and 1.
Oh,
so pretty much get our list out of the way, then do the honorable mentions, then do our number 1 Christmas movie.
Okay. Number 2 is Scrooge. Well, it's Alistair Sim as Scrooge in Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, 1951. So there's so many iterations of A Christmas Carol. I'm just going to give you that whole title screen of a title. Sometimes it's called Scrooge. Sometimes it's called A Christmas Carol, 1951. So I just that is the opening title from the movie. Make from that whatever title you're comfortable with. But this is the best version of A Christmas Carol. I'm sorry. I know there's probably going to be people out there who are going to bring up the Muppets, which I love, and is probably the second best version of A Christmas Carol. But this is by far and away just a classic. CBC Canada used to play this every day on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I forget which, every year. And this has just been kind of canonized because of that. So definitely watch this every year. Definitely, I think I had a taped copy on VHS. Now I have it on DVD. I think there's been a colorized version, which I don't recommend that, but that's
I was going to mention that exact thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, just yeah, that's it. I got enough of that.
Solid choice. Yeah, there is definitely a colorized version of this. Watch the black and white one if you can help it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because we grew up with the black and white version, but the colorized one just feels wrong.
Yeah. Well, and some of that technology's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the best version of A Christmas Carol. I think it's also one of the best book to film adaptations that exists. Like, it's just so faithful to the original book. And I also try to read the original book every year or every couple of years out loud as well.
Interesting. I've never read the book.
The movie and the book they hold up so well together. So.
I've actually never read the book. That's interesting.
Okay. Yeah, it's maybe it's like 80 or 120 pages, something like that.
Oh, okay.
It's a very short read. And the version I have is like this big.
Why?
On the page. I don't know.
Okay. Moss Def agrees. He says colorized versions of black and white movies are wrong. I would agree. I don't know that I've ever seen a colorized version that I prefer to the black and white. It wasn't made to be in color. Don't force it.
Yeah, exactly. Just stretch yourself beyond, your comfort zone that much. Yeah.
Nice. My number 2. Are you good?
I am good.
All right. My number 2, we'll see how this one goes, is Frank Capra's 1946 It's a Wonderful Life. Now, this one was for a long time considered an absolute failure of a movie. This is James Stewart, Donna Reed, came out, made no money at the box office, like came and went with a thud. and just did horribly. And it wasn't until, I don't have the date, but years and years later, when the production company, which I also didn't look up because I'm failing at this, decided not to renew the rights for it. That's how bad of a bomb this was. They didn't even care to keep the copyrights for it, so they just let it go and let it become free public domain. Cable companies saw this and were like, we need something to play on Christmas. Hey, we can play this because it's free. Who cares that it's bad? Nobody's going to be watching TV on Christmas anyways. We'll just play this to nobody, and at least we don't have to pay anything for it. Put it out there, and people were watching it. People fell in love with it. People really noticed it on TV as opposed to in movies. Became a huge cultural sensation and became one of the most beloved Christmas movies of all time. It's kind of like, just like this, it's one of those movies where the backstory is almost as interesting as the movie itself. Like, you could almost make a documentary about this movie that I would watch.
Yeah.
Which is always interesting when you can make like a documentary about a movie, but like it's so good. James Stewart is phenomenal in it. Donna Reed plays a great job. Whoever is Mr. Potter, the guy who owns the bank.
Larry Barrymore. Barrymore.
Lionel Barrymore. Is such a good, like, despicable villain. Like, you absolutely love to hate him.
Yeah.
Just a phenomenal movie. Another black and white one, another Christmas classic. I can't say enough good things about it. This is one where my family used to, well, I guess you are my family, where the family used to watch it pretty much every year. And as a kid, I resisted it hard. And I came to this one maybe like 7 or 8 years ago and fell in love with it just instantly. Like, the first time I watched it as an adult, just absolutely loved it. It's one that I've watched as close to every year since as possible. Amy had it in her, my wife had it in her head that she wasn't a big fan, and thankfully has changed her mind on that, so she does enjoy it now. But there was a while there where it was kind of pulling teeth to get her to watch it. So this is one that we haven't watched yet this year, but I'm hoping that we will at some point over the Christmas holidays. Honestly, I haven't seen any Christmas movies this year. It's just been a weird year for it. But there's a couple on my list that I'd love to get to watch, and this is definitely one of them.
I can't say enough. Yeah, the making of it is amazing when you give in the backstory, the story itself, the script, the fact that this movie came out in 1946, it's set in Christmas 1945. Like, and so many things have come together to make that. It's actually based on a variety of short stories. There's a bunch of different writers, so I've been reading something similar but different about the making. And so there's a few loose scripts based on a short story, and they kept chucking it out. Frank Capra really kind of demanded perfection from the script writers.
As you should.
And I think it's amazing. Yeah, and it's influenced, like, brought this whole genre, right, of you know, what would your life look like, or you know, this third perspective, watching yourself live your life sort of thing, that became really popular. And yeah, like you say, probably not even directly from A Wonderful Life, but I think it kind of perfects that genre, that film. And this is one that I think it just carries more and more meaning the older you get, you know. There's more you can get out of it.
Yeah.
All sorts of layers of discussion he's having with the difficult choices he keeps making in his life, and the sacrifices that he has to make, and the financial pressures. Like, yeah, doesn't this just ring more true than when you're 16, you know?
I mean, to bounce off that, my kids watched a significant portion, my twins watched a significant portion of this movie last year. And I mean, admittedly, maybe they were just stalling to go to bed, but like, they wanted to stay up and keep watching it. They weren't like, I want to go do something else. Like, I'm bored. My kids I guess they were 10 at the time. So the fact that it was still engaging for them does speak volumes. But I think you're right. It does get better the older you get, and the more you can kind of see yourself in the James Stewart character, where like, not necessarily that you want to kill yourself, but like, wow, like the pressures of real life do start building up, and it does become a lot. And like, I've never been in his position where I'm responsible for like the entire town's wealth, but like, life becomes a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesse Alexander was talking to me yesterday. That's not his last name. I didn't just totally out him. It's just his YouTube title. Sorry, I realized as I was saying it. There's a theater in the town that we're in that I'm not going to disclose where they play this movie every Christmas Eve, and that's been a tradition of his for quite some time. So he goes and watches it in theater on 35 millimeter film, which sounds like an absolute treat, but is unfortunately not in the cards for me. But like, one year I would like to make that happen. I think that'd be wonderful. That same theater is the first place that I ever saw Citizen Kane. So I saw Citizen Kane on the big screen for the first time. It makes a difference. Like seeing movies like that, the way they're intended to be seen, because there was no TVs back when these movies were made.
Yep.
Seeing them the way they were intended to be made, I sound like such a film nerd. I guarantee you I'm not, but like it matters. It makes a difference. So good luck with that tomorrow.
Christmas, I will definitely make that argument. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. You were planning on coming this year, and then plans changed. But I mean, if you can make that happen, that would be great.
I didn't say it wasn't a worthless promise.
I don't know if that theater's still gonna be around when we're in our 60s and our kids are all grown up, but you know, we'll try.
Yeah. So now we're going to honorable mentions.
Sure. Now you can have your honorable mention hour.
Which is actually a bigger mystery than my number one was ever going to be, I think, anyway. So there we go.
The floor is yours. You like I was struggling to get to 5,
yeah,
so like go for it.
Guy, eh? Okay, here we go. Well, okay, there's a lot, right? Like I think you were having trouble coming up with lists. I didn't want to give you my list, so I started sending you genres.
Yeah.
And what did I send you? Like 8 different categories of Christmas movie to get you brainstorming.
And you hit like one movie that's actually on my list.
Loser. What's that?
And you only hit like one movie that's actually on my list.
I was being so careful to guard my list, so I was naming like these weird one-off stuff, trying to get you. Yeah. So, so I kind of think about these in kind of categories. You get these whole clusters of types of movies, right? So you got your kind of like 70s, 80s comedies. So you've got, you know, Chevy Jason, Christmas Vacation. You've got Bill Murray and Scrooged. You've got a whole bunch of movies kind of clustered around that era. Those two, I think, rise to the top of that. I include Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. We can have another fight about that, but I say American Thanksgiving is the start of Christmas in North America. So that's Christmas season, and I include it. Out of those 3, I would have trouble choosing, but probably Planes, Trains, Scrooged, and then Christmas Vacation. It would be a bit of a distant third. Those first 2 would be very close. And I do try to rewatch one or both of those every year.
So if I can jump in for 1 second.
Sure.
Again, for anybody watching, our family was very religious growing up. So like Christmas Vacation was not something we ever watched as kids. So like we probably both came to that as adults, I have to assume, right?
No, I watched that in the 90s with my
delinquent friends.
One of my best friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
At his house.
Fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So it just doesn't have the place in my heart that it does for a lot of people because I saw it so much later in life and it just didn't really hit in the same way. Also, well, never mind, whatever. Scrooged, I saw Scrooged for the very first time last year.
Really?
Yeah, I remember watching. I saw like near the end of it, he gets visited by the ghost of Christmas Future or something. I feel like I walked in on you and your friends watching that back in the 90s. And it was probably told like, you're not allowed to watch this, get out of here. So I didn't get to watch more of it. So that was like, I recognized a part of that scene when he's in his office building, but for the rest of the movie, it was all brand new to me. And I'm not the biggest Bill Murray fan. I know that's kind of sacrilegious, but like, it was just not my sense of humor at all. Like maybe if I'd watched in the 80s, maybe if I was a bigger Bill Murray fan, I don't know, but it just didn't do it for me.
Okay, so what about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
I saw that for the first time with Amy maybe 5 years ago.
Your brother was such a tool.
Yeah, tell me about it. This is what I've been saying for years. It's of the 3, it's the one that I want to rewatch the most.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
Not that I have a love for it, but more so I feel like it's the one where I might get more out of it. You know what I mean? Like it might be the one that gets the most benefit from rewatches.
No, I think that's fair. There's some really good lines in Scrooged, yeah, I mean, you can't argue like John Candy, Steve Martin,
Yeah.
and A Disaster Road Trip, like with heart. Like
Yeah.
you can't beat all that. Yeah,
I
for sure.
So actually, I bought Scrooged last year, so I own it. So like, there's no reason I couldn't go back and rewatch it. And I am debating it. Amy absolutely hated it. She will not rewatch it. But it was one we had last year where we were like wrapping gifts. So it was just kind of on in the background. I might go back with it, but we'll see.
In the what would have been in my top 10 honorable mentions, there the old 1954 White Christmas.
Yeah.
It feels. I just watched again last night, actually. I really like this movie. My kids love this movie.
Wow.
Probably yelling at the TV because it's not in my top 5 already.
Are your kids watching this right now? Am I swearing in front of your kids? Is that a thing? Uh-oh.
What's that?
Are your kids watching us right now? Like, am I swearing in front of your kids? Is that a thing?
They'll be watching it soon. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So so I can edit it before they get a chance. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, kids. Love you. Merry Christmas.
Christmas is. You know what? I like the war story almost more than the Christmas story. And the Christmas story is really just a rom-com love story. Like, I feel like this is the first formulaic, makes no sense, musical numbers slashed together, like almost like a prototype for what was going to become a Christmas, like Hallmark Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And yet the whole package is a lot of fun. It's got this really good nostalgia vibe going for it. And it's got that kind of 50s cool right under the surface. It's set in the 40s, but yeah, well, I guess maybe early 50s, something like that. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. I always wonder about the wisdom of setting a Christmas movie in Florida, which is where the movie starts out, and that always feels a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Ernest Saves Christmas was also set in Florida.
Oh, I forgot about Ernest. I forgot about Ernest.
That's why you're number one?
No, it is 100% not.
Oh. Yeah. So yeah, it's hard to get into. I don't know how people around the equator celebrate Christmas. It just feels like if you live in Florida, you should take a trip every year, December. So
I mean, it's going to be 11 degrees tomorrow, apparently. So, well, on Christmas Day, sorry, here in Ontario. So, not that far off.
Florida,
it is.
It kind of hangs down out of the way. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's too warm.
Yeah. What was the movie you mentioned just before this one?
Ernest Saves Christmas, White Christmas.
White Christmas. Okay, I want to touch on White Christmas before you move on.
We're still on White. Go.
So for White Christmas, I watched it all the way through for the first time last year. It's one that we own now, so it's definitely going to be something that I watch again. I really enjoyed it, more so than I even thought I would. I kind of bought it just because I wanted to go through the classics, but it actually was better than I was anticipating. I really did enjoy it. But I was listening to a podcast recently, The Cinephiles, which is very interesting and you might enjoy, where they take a movie and they really dissect it. Mos Def is agreeing with you. Ernest Saves Christmas gets a great big heart from him.
I love it.
So for White Christmas, what they were saying is kind of what you were just saying. The heart of the movie is actually, is it the colonel or the captain, the general, whatever that character is. He is actually the heart of the movie. And the reason the movie feels disjointed is because he's there for like 3 minutes and then disappears for 46 minutes. And then he comes in and then you're like, oh, this is what the movie is again. So for those like 43 minutes where you're like, what is going on? The movie kind of flip-flops, it flounders, it's kind of all over the place. You're kind of not really sure who you're supposed to like. Like is it Danny Kaye, the sidekick, is like extremely manipulative and just kind of being kind of a dink to the main character. And you're just kind of left in this weird place. Like, what is going on? What is this movie about? What am I doing? And then you reintroduce the captain. You're like, oh, this is the movie. Okay. So it's interesting that you brought that up yourself.
Is actually the men's love for the captain, the general, actually.
General, okay.
The Bing Crosby character, I think, is the captain, but the general. And the love for the general, because they hint at it several different places, actually comes out of his character, like the way he treats them and the sacrifices he makes, like for himself. There's a line in there where he says, you know, we ate and then he ate, and then we slept and then he slept. And so really the whole crux of the movie comes down to his self-sacrifice,
Okay.
right? And that's his character as a general. The rest of the movie is them trying to honor that, essentially. So I think that's really beautiful. It brings in, you know, there is, you know, of course, White Christmas is there. Bing Crosby singing White Christmas, and you know, Sisters, Snow. There's a few iconic kind of songs in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I love that about that movie, and I think it does a really good job of kind of honoring that camaraderie. And there's so few, even war movies, where you really get a good, like, I'm gonna say wholesome feeling of that kind of brotherhood. Band of Brothers did this really well. I think there was elements of it in Saving Private Ryan that didn't feel fully realized, at least to me.
Okay.
And I think White Christmas just kind of touches that nerve, you know.
I'm correct that you cannot see chat, correct?
I'm on Discord completely.
Okay.
I'm looking at myself. I can't even see you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I'm laughing because chat, I've got a couple of alliance mates for Marvel Strike Force in the chat. Hefe is saying, he keeps bugging me about doing push-ups. He's like, he needs to do a lot of push-ups. His brother came prepared for this conversation and he didn't. Good job, Jonathan. You're carrying this stream. And then he replies with, I want to subscribe to his brother's channel. Commander Foch is like, oh, I'd follow that. Hefe is right. I bet Jonathan can do push-ups. Faust, I was
pretty nervous about this Twitch stream because this is, you're like, this is my grandma's favorite Christmas movie. By the way, we would probably agree on 5 out of 5. You know?
I would love to watch Grandma watch Elf. That would be worth the price of admission right there. I wouldn't even watch the movie. I would just look at her face the entire time. Can I live stream that? Can I live stream my 99-year-old grandmother watching Elf?
Violating copyright, yeah.
Even the copyright people are like, nope, this is worth it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Good. Okay. Can we do some controversial stuff?
Go for it. What do you got?
It's not that controversial. But Charlie Brown Christmas, I love it. It's got the right mood. It's the best Charlie Brown film I think there is. But I like my soundtrack better than I like my DVD. I listen to that CD all the time.
Okay.
They went out of their way to get really good jazz for the soundtrack for that movie. It was a bit of a fight at the time. I think Charles Schultz was a jazz fan. And I listen to the CD non-stop. It's been playing at work for weeks. I have not yet seen Charlie Brown Christmas. And my daughter, again, is probably throwing things at a screen, so I'm glad she's on the other side of the world right now.
Do you want to really throw some stuff at the screen?
Yeah.
I've never seen Charlie Brown's Christmas. Couldn't tell you a lick about it.
So much better about, I don't know.
The
Worse
only
about myself as a brother, though.
I can tell. Yeah, you're awful as a grown-up. The only thing I can tell you about it is the Christmas tree looks like broken down, and that's because people make that joke about the Christmas tree in other movies.
A meme. That doesn't. You don't get credit for.
Well, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. Like, I'm not trying to be like, I know this. Like, no, that's a picture that I've seen on the internet. That does not count at all. But that's literally all I know. Even if you're talking about like the soundtrack, I'm like, couldn't tell you. Is there songs? Is it a musical? No idea. How do you feel about going over our top 5 real quick, or our top 4, I guess, real quickly again, and then jumping into our number 1s, or do you have more honorable mentions you wish to talk about?
I have more honorable mentions. I'm going to get in trouble if we go now.
That's fair.
Do you want me to get those out of the way now? Are those okay for ad break?
You might as well keep talking. We do have some people who are who are subscribed and don't get the ads. So.
Pre-Hallmark Christmas movies.
Oh God, we're going to Hallmark movies?
ABC Family.
Yep.
And there's a few of those that I've really enjoyed.
Just for you, Hefe.
One of those is Snow with Tom Cavanaugh and Ashley Williams. He was the guy who did Ed, which was way too short-lived and will never see daylight on DVD and probably never get picked up by a streamer unless it's on Peacock. I just thought of that. Okay, anyway. Are you familiar with Ed?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, that's another list for another time.
Okay.
But anyway, Snow is just a kind of fun, light, very Hallmark-ish level of Christmas movie made for TV in 2004. You can find it on DVD. It'll often be on a 2-pack with a sequel that came out, I think it was '08, with the same stars. I prefer the original, but my kids watch both quite regularly.
Just really quickly, people came back from ads. What movie are you talking about?
Snow with Tom Cavanaugh. It's an
Okay.
'04 ABC Family movie that was made for TV. There's a sequel, and I prefer the original, is what I was saying.
Fair enough.
They also came out with Holiday in Handcuffs with a terrible premise. And a
Sounds
pretty bad
great.
script. It sounds like something it isn't. But
It sounds like something I'm going to mute before I send this to your kids.
They've been watching it.
That's not good.
It's okay. I know. Just to explain the title, I'll give you the premise where this girl is kind of failing at everything in her life, and she kidnaps this handsome guy to take him home for Christmas to show off for her family because everything else in her life is a failure. And then hijinks ensue, of course, from there. So it goes from implausible to like yelling at the TV to try to solve this guy's problems for him.
Okay.
But it's Mario Lopez and it's Melissa Joan Hart. So all your '80s kids out there are going to be loving seeing these two together.
Sorry, when this is 2004, so like they're no longer famous, but they're still relatively young.
'06.
06.
So they're both mid-20s, probably.
Okay.
And it's just silly. It's just silly. I can't even defend it.
Okay.
It wouldn't be in my top 20, but it's one that we watch a lot. So I'm just throwing it out there.
Just
movies that would have been on my.
Just because you've mentioned 1,000 honorable mentions, I'm gonna throw one out there that didn't make my list only because I haven't seen it in a very long time, and that's A Christmas Story. This is one of those ones that was like kind of like It's a Wonderful Life. I believe it didn't do very well when it first came out, but got picked up by TBS, and literally they would do 24-hour streams of Christmas Story. So whether you like Christmas Story or not, you've probably seen it all the way through. And I was talking to chat before you joined us. It's one of those movies where I don't know how often I've seen it from beginning to end, but I've definitely seen it from like random middle point to the end, started it again, and made it back to that random middle point. So I've seen it like all in one sitting, but not in the order that it was intended. You know what I mean? Because it was just literally like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, TBS would just be like 24-hour, 48-hour stream of A Christmas Story.
Yeah,
and
TBS ran this like Pluto runs channels. Yeah, it was. I lost audio.
Uh-oh, you can't hear me?
Oh no, I hear you. Yeah,
I just stopped talking. That's not the same thing as you losing audio.
Oh.
Hefe is saying Jonathan looks like he could be in the band The Grateful Dead. I don't know if that's a compliment for you or not, but you know.
I'll take it as a compliment.
In their heyday or now? Because I'm pretty sure they're like mostly dead now. I think he's
and grateful.
trying to say something about your complexion.
It's the lighting, I imagine, and the camera. I really this is just expanding people's horizons.
Yep.
Sorry.
One quick second before we jump from that.
Heard of it?
Shut up.
What?
One quick second before we jump from that. You've seen A Christmas Story. Have you ever seen the sequel? Because they made one where the little kid is now a grown-up.
There's a sequel, and there's A Christmas Story, which is two different things.
What is that?
The Christmas Story is the one where the kid's an adult now. I haven't seen either of them, so I don't know why I'm flexing so hard on that. I just saw both of them at Walmart yesterday, and I was like, oh, I thought it was the same thing.
Okay. I've not seen the sequel because I was nervous. You know how sometimes they bring out sequels like way later and like they're awful and they almost ruin the first one a little bit for you, or at least diminish the first one for you? Like think Matrix, right? Like not that it came out way later, but the sequels made the first one a little bit worse. I'm kind of nervous of that, so I haven't seen it. That said, Run 7, a content creator in this area who I really enjoy, mentioned that it's actually really quite entertaining and he really enjoyed it. So now that's one that I might have to check out, but it was like, I was purposefully just ignoring that for a long time. So I was curious if you'd seen it or not, but it sounds like it's not on your radar either.
What's not on my radar?
Christmas Story 2.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I got lost in the chat and the comment, and yeah.
Sorry, continue on with your ridiculously long honorable mention.
Okay.
Hefe is defending you for the record.
Is the best Christmas pageant ever? Is a made-for-TV special based on a book. I think again it does a pretty good job of capturing the book. Although the book is like 70 pages, so you should just read it out loud. It's an easy read. You could probably read it in an hour and a half.
We 100% have. Like, there've definitely been Christmases where we just read that entire book in one sitting out loud, and so I've never bothered to watch the movie because the book is such an easy read that I have more fond memories of sitting around and reading that. Actually, with our cousin Tim, I can picture him reading it out loud to us at Christmas and just being enthralled. So I've never sought that movie out because what could live up to that memory?
Yeah. I own a copy. I love it. The mom's played by Loretta Swit, Hot Lips from MASH, is how most people would know her. And yeah, it's very enjoyable, but we do try to read it every couple of years as well.
Nice.
So yeah, both very good. I do like the there's a newer nativity story. It's like the 2006 or something like that. So that's a good one that we do rewatch every year.
Live action or cartoon?
What's that?
Live action or cartoon?
It's a live action. There's a newer one, a cartoon called The Star.
Yeah, that's the one I thought you were talking about for a second.
Yeah, no, I like this one too. It is a little uncomfortable, but it does a pretty good job being like historical accurate and stuff like that.
Okay.
I just saw trivia yesterday that the actress who was 16 was actually pregnant during production.
Oh wow.
So that's like a scandal, like on a historical scandal. I don't know, that's like life imitating art sort of a thing.
I'm sure she told her parents it was immaculate conception as well.
I'm sure it was not life imitating that. Yeah.
So we actually saw The Star in theaters. It's the animated one from I don't know when, but it must have been 2017 or maybe 2018. We saw that one in theaters. That was actually our youngest's first movie in theater. Now it doesn't count because she was like 2 and no, she wasn't. She was like 2 months and asleep. But technically she was in the theater while we went and took the kids to that one. So like both of my kids all 3 of my kids' first experience in the movie theater were Christmas movies, which I really didn't put together until I started that sentence.
That's really, The Star was the one you said your daughter's first?
Yeah, so Home Alone was my twin's first movie in theater, and The Star was my youngest's first movie in theater, although she would never remember that. It's her first movie in theaters in the same way that Back to the Future is my first time in a movie theater. I don't remember it, but I was technically there.
Yeah.
Hefe is wondering who the heck knocks up a 16-year-old. I'm going to hope that it was a 16-year-old, because otherwise, yes, that's incredibly gross.
That's how that goes, yeah.
You hope. I mean, hopefully it doesn't happen at all. But if it's going to happen, you hope it's another 16-year-old. You have to think the historical context of the fact that the average life expectancy was around 55 years. I think that's even being a little bit generous. Hefe is going to try and ruin this stream. I know how to make Mongo at least fun to watch. Okay, one of the you can't see me. Actually, you can't see me. That's even kind of more funny.
Now I'm watching the Twitch on mute.
Oh, okay, good. That's the way you should be doing this.
Like 5 seconds late. There's like a weird delay sound thing happening.
Okay, so we have 2 redemptions going on here. One of them is Hefe wants me to wear my Magneto helmet. I don't know if you can. Oh, you can't see it on stream right now, but it's in the background. So I have to go put that on. So I have to take my Christmas helmet off. Oh, Hefe, actually, I won't be able to hear my brother if I do that, because I have to take my headphones off. I can't wear my headphones and Magneto at the same time. Welcome, T-Daz. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you being here.
All I hear is excuses.
So I'm gonna have to decline that one for now, Hefe. I do apologize. I will redeem that at some point, but right here, right now, I will not be able to hear my brother, and that will completely destroy this conversation.
I think you should at least hold up the Magneto helmet.
I will go get the Magneto helmet for sure. I'll put it on for maybe like 10 seconds. You can see what it looks like, but I can't have a conversation with that on. JB Holmes did an IRL word ban, meaning I am not allowed to say a word of some type. However, I can't see in the chat what word it was. Oh, the word is that, because you're a jerk. So Jonathan, I don't know if you want to play along with me here. How this works is I will start, I think it's a 3-minute timer where I'm not allowed to say that, which in this case is literally that, for 3 minutes. And if I do, I need to take a shot of alcohol. So if you want to join me for that, you are more than welcome. If you are not, so be it. T-Daz is just here for the train wreck. Thank you so much, T-Daz. I appreciate your support on that one. He's trying to give my brother a break. Yeah, people in the chat just hate me, but you're getting a lot of love, so this is actually kind of fun. I'm gonna go grab the helmet, and then I'll start the timer, and I am not allowed to say the... I know I said it now, I'm not gonna say it after I start the timer. And if I do, I'll take a drink. So by all means, everybody out there, listen to me and see if I say it or not. Jonathan, if you want to join me on that, you can as well, to just not... Okay, that's kind of punishing because you could be a jerk about it. But Jonathan, if you want to also not say that, and I'll take the shot if you do, maybe that'll be understanding, because right now you're talking a little bit more than I am. But don't just say it just cuz. One quick second, I'm going to grab that helmet. You vamp for a second, or start us off on the next one on your list.
Is the timer started? And what's the word again? Let's see this hat. You know what? I still have like 20 Christmas movies, but I don't think they're any of my personal honorable mentions. I've already said I think Muppet Christmas is the next best Christmas. I've already said that Benedict Cumberbatch is the next best Grinch. So that's just, I guess I'm stirring the pot if anybody cares.
Nope. I had to try just in case I could hear you through the helmet, but I definitely cannot.
Oh, I just saw you put the headphones on, so that's...
If you're talking to me, that's not gonna work. Don't even try. Just you talk about the next movie, and I'll do a stupid little dance in a Magneto helmet to try and amuse my audience. But this is all you now, right now. So you talk about whatever you want and don't anticipate me knowing anything. Hefe wants more Jonathan. The redemption oh, the redemption says 5 minutes, unfortunately. This sounded like a ban grabbing his helmet. Giving you a hard time does not equal hate. Fair enough. I do appreciate that distinction. All right. I'll get a timer set up. You talk for now, and then when I take the helmet off, we will start that timer for 5 minutes and see if I can go that long without saying a word that starts with T-H-A-T.
Oh, you know what? We have not said... Now I'm checking my sentences after I say them. That's not particularly helpful to Dan. But we have not talked about Spirited. Have you seen Spirited? What did you think of it? You can't hear me. I'll tell you what I thought of it. It's on Apple TV. I don't even know if you can watch that. I think you tried to figure that out at one point. This is one of the movies I was really excited to see. And I think we tried to cram it in last year to a day that just was the only day that would have worked. We had friends we wanted to watch it with, and I think I was a little bit, I think this movie suffered from me being really tired when I watched it. I've had a few movie experiences like that. The first time I saw Scarface, I started at like 12:30, and it's like 11 hours long or something. I'm just filling. Oh, he is dancing. That's beautiful.
Oh, I keep doing that.
Does that mean we're on an ad break if he's doing his dance? You don't have to trick me to screwing up. I will screw up because I can't think that far ahead in my sentences.
Okay. I have no idea what you were just talking about. I have to take the helmet off because, I mean, this is going to fall apart hard. I can't hear what you're saying at all. I don't know what you were just speaking about. I will start the timer now.
You don't start the timer?
Also, because I'm not talking. It's a waste of time if I put a timer on and I'm not the one. Like, that would be the easiest IRL ever if I'm just like 5 minutes and I just like sit here and listen to you. How lame would that be? So
Spirited. We're talking about Spirited on Apple TV. Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds.
Okay, so Spirited, I have not seen all the way through. I started it last week at my brother's house. I don't have Apple. I enjoyed what I saw, and I plan on watching the rest of it, but I didn't get a chance to watch it. And unfortunately, Apple doesn't make DVDs of their shows, so I can't go out and buy the movies that I like, which sucks because I don't want to pay for another subscription service, but I would love to own Coda, and I would probably pick up Apple. I'm going to start the timer right now, and we will continue this discussion. So 5 minutes starting now. I cannot say a specific word. Also, apparently, I don't know how to do the Macarena anymore, so sorry for everybody who had to watch that.
That's what that was.
No, it wasn't, but that's what the attempt was.
Yeah,
I think I'm pretty sure I already failed. I'm pretty sure I just failed with that sentence.
It comes up in a lot of sentences. I gotta be honest. It's there. I also
JB Holmes says starting now, so I'm gonna go with him and start now. Being careful.
You're gonna talk a lot slower.
Yes, I am.
Spirited, I also watched what we kind of fitted into a night last year, is what I was saying. And I was really overtired. And movies don't do well for me when I'm overtired, is what I've noticed.
I remember trying to watch a movie with you. You were thoroughly enjoying it, and you passed out. So we will have to watch it again sometime.
Like, do I finish that without Dan, or do I come back to it? Yeah, maybe we should do a top 10 list of movies I've slept through.
Great movies to nap to. Did I say it? Oh, did I fail already? What did I say after he said starting now? I didn't. Okay. They're saying what the word.
Oh,
it's really hard to not say it. I really have to think about what I am saying. And I might still fail.
Yeah. I enjoyed parts of it a lot. I don't think I out and out fell asleep, but I know I was like praying for it to end so I could go to sleep. So, yeah.
The sign of a great movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I thought they had a lot of fun with on Christmas Carol, without it being like bringing something a little bit new. So
I didn't see enough of it to say 100%, but okay. Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, Jason Momoa, there are a couple of actors who seem to be just playing themselves at this point, as opposed to playing actual characters, and I couldn't quite tell if he was playing a character or if he was just doing Ryan Reynolds things.
Right.
I really like Ryan Reynolds. I really do. But there are times where I'm just like, you could be somebody different. Have you ever seen... Okay, this is not a Christmas movie at all. Have you ever seen Buried?
No. I don't think.
It's one of those movies where it's like the entire movie takes place in one scene. And that... Shoot, I was trying. I was even trying. All right, that's a shot. And the entire scene is he is buried alive in a coffin in like Afghanistan or something like that. Like he's a negotiator, not a negotiator. He's somebody, and he gets, yeah, I know I said it. And he gets captured. I don't have to do multiple shots. It's a one and done. I'm like, if I just said the word like 40 times in a row, I'm not taking 40 shots. I'm going to kill myself, but I'll take the one shot for sure. So it's entirely him on the phone calling people, being like, can you help me? You got to get me out of here. It's his girlfriend. It's his wife. No, that would be bad. That would be a bad movie. He's calling his girlfriend. He's calling his parents. He's calling like the army, like anybody he can to try and figure it out. And I really like self-contained movies like that. And he's actually playing a character, and it's really, really well done. Like I don't remember there being any like, Ryan Reynolds isms in it. It's just him being a good character. If you're enjoying this, if you're enjoying me hanging out with my brother talking movies, by all means, let me know. You don't have to like follow or subscribe or anything like that. Just say in the chat if you're enjoying this and you want to see this happen more often. It won't be an every week thing, but it could be a once a month thing. Maybe we'll even
top 10, top 5 ideas.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. Good for you. You're learning. DM your PO box. I don't even know if you're kidding. Absinthe is what I will mail you. Jeez, Hefe is legit trying to kill me. I've never had it. Holmes, the redemption was worth it. Watching you try your best not to say one of your words, your favorite filler words. So Holmes, somebody messaged me. I was having a conversation with somebody. I don't remember who it was. I think I might have been talking to Nemesis. And somebody did an IRL ban of Nemesis's name. It was just like, piss off, really? It was a really good one, but it was just like, Another time they didn't let me say so like your legitimate filler word was just like, well, okay.
I'd be toast.
Yes, you would.
Toast. Yeah.
More brother. Commander Foss says more brother. Saini, Absinthe. Definitely make it clear it's a max of 1 shot if you're doing that. 100%. I've never done Absinthe. I've never really had a desire to. Hefe, we love Jonathan. We want him weekly. Let's do a top 10 most embarrassing childhood stories. No. Shut up. I will mute you right now.
That's my kids' favorite thing too. They would love that top 10 list. Kids, every time after we visit Dad, every time we come home, I get like 2 months of like, tell us another embarrassing dad story. They love the dad stories. Talk
about having like a top 27 with another 40 honorable mentions. Oh, no. See, that's unfair too, because like my brother's got like a significant amount of years on me, so he was already, I mean, I'm not going to say cool because that hasn't happened yet, but like he was more grown up than I was, so you kind of like, even if your brother's a loser, you're still idolizing him, right? So like you don't have the same kind of level of stories about him that you would have about me. Oh my goodness.
The stories do exist.
I'm sure that they do. Like yours are more endearing than they are embarrassing though.
So yeah, Joncooli and I did not even go to high school together. That's the age spread right there. Yeah.
Oh, I was 100% nerdy in high school. I'm still nerdy now. Jonathan has never been cool though. Let's get rid of that. You don't have to call me Joncooli, by the way. People know I'm Dan. That's fine. Holmes, thank you very much for this. I appreciate you. Cheers, bud. Merry Christmas. Whew. Whew. All right. And Jonathan is hip glitch in the chat if anybody cares. I don't know how often he'll ever be watching, but this conversation's gone supremely off the rails. If anybody is out there and is not following at the moment, please go ahead and hit that follow button. I'd really appreciate it. And it doesn't cost you anything. All right. We've done 1,000 honorable mentions. Want to run down our top 5 really quickly because we do have people in the chat right now who were not here before, and then we can move on to our number 1s. When I point at you and say your name, that's me talking to you.
I had to find my number 5 again and remember what the heck I said because I'm looking at this.
If this is a thing we're doing in the future,
so.
Like if this is a thing we're gonna do on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or whatever.
Homecoming, which I won't defend right now because we've done too many honorable mentions. But I said Home Alone, and then I said The Grinch 1966, the original TV special, The Elf with Will Ferrell, Scrooge: A Christmas Carol 1951 with Alistair Sim. And
stop there.
I glitched and said my number 1 as well.
Okay, I was gonna say like just like I thought you were gonna do it again. I was like, shut up. Okay, so my top 5 were Elf to start off with, Klaus after that, which is a Netflix animated show. Number 3, I put Die Hard in, which we can have discussions with afterwards if anybody's gonna fight me on that one. And then It's a Wonderful Life was number 2. And then we're gonna get into our number 1s. I feel like there was something else I was going to say right before I did that, but since it's not coming to me, we're just going to go ahead. Jonathan, you've already said it, but again, what is your number 1 Christmas movie?
It's going to be A Wonderful Life.
Figured that was coming up considering you spilled the beans already. Do you have anything more to say about it that we haven't already touched on?
We've said lots, and I kind of did spill the beans. I just, really love that movie, and yeah, that's it. I think it's near perfect. The script, it's not only my #1 Christmas movie, it would be very high on my all-time movies list.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
I like It's a Wonderful Life immensely. I would agree that it is very, very high on just my overall movie list. It doesn't get a #1 place because I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, and #1 I've seen 1,000 times, and it just means more to me and probably will forever, and we'll get to that in a second. The one thing I did want to touch on, because I brought this conversation up and we never really went anywhere with it, I can make a stronger argument for Die Hard being a Christmas movie than I can for It's a Wonderful Life being a Christmas movie. That being said, It's a Wonderful Life is more of that feel-good watch every year at Christmas time Christmas movie, whereas you can watch Die Hard any time of the year. Right. My argument would be Die Hard is 100% set at Christmas time. It is all taking place on Christmas Eve / Christmas Day. They reference Christmas multiple times. It is the reason the movie is happening is he is there to visit his wife at Christmas. You've got Christmas music, albeit not traditional Christmas music, but you've got Christmas music in it. You've got all these things that are referencing Christmas. Now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho. Things like that. Everything about that movie takes place at Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life has a Christmas tree at the very end of the movie, and they sing a song about New Year's Eve. That is the limit of what is in that movie about Christmas time. Most of the movie takes place in the past, throughout the year, not at Christmas. No reference to Christmas. I'm not sure they say Christmas. There's no like point where they're like, oh, but it's Christmas time, Mr. Potter. Have a heart. Nothing. Literal nothing. There is a Christmas tree with a bell to signify that an angel has gotten its wings. That is literally it.
He comes home. It's set on Christmas Eve.
I agree with that, but you don't know that until you see the Christmas tree.
Just a flashback. The movie begins on Christmas Eve with him already headed to the bridge. Then it all flashes.
Like all good Christmas movies should start with some suicide.
Yeah, I think that would be a better argument to make against this movie if you're going to pick one against this movie. He goes home in a crisis. His kid's playing Christmas carols on the piano for the concert she's practicing for. Another kid's wearing a Santa face on his face that he homemade. It is 100% a Christmas movie, and you are ridiculous, sir.
Sorry, I'm just reading chat to see how many people hate me right now. Nothing screams family fun like a man about to jump.
In fairness,
I mean, you're right. I haven't seen it in like a year. There's probably
about the treatment of suicide in the movie. I have that conversation I could have, but I don't think you could have a conversation about its treatment of Christmas. I think that's another whole issue.
JB Holmes, I've always said It's a Wonderful Life is not a Christmas movie. TLC says it's trash. I don't agree with that whatsoever. It is definitely a phenomenal movie. I just feel like I can make a funnier argument for Die Hard than I can for It's a Wonderful Life being Christmas. We all dislike you, but we love Joncooli. Sorry, was that Jonathan?
I said it was definitely a funnier argument.
Well, that's all I really go for here. Anybody who's watched this channel for any length of time knows I have nothing intelligent to say, but at least I can say it in a funny way. So I try to bring entertainment to your lives more so than knowledge. Sure as heck knows nobody is watching this channel for information.
I feel like the suicide thing comes directly out of Potter telling him he's worth more dead than alive. He's having this financial crisis, and he's got this life insurance policy, which is his only kind of collateral to his name, because life insurance was a terrible investment then. And so it kind of grows out of that, and it doesn't feel like, anyway. We don't have to talk about suicide on our Christmas top 5, I guess, but.
What better time of year to do it? What is that? What's that movie? Is that Mixed Nuts? Where it takes place at a suicide hotline?
On the list.
I have not. Yes. I've literally forgot that movie existed until just now.
Have you seen it? Did we watch it together?
We watched it years ago. I feel like I could tell you the suicide hotline, and maybe is Steve Martin the lead in that one?
Yep.
Yeah, that's literally all I've got.
That's pretty much the whole thing.
Okay, fair enough. Hefe, we all dislike you, but we like Joncooli. But then JB Holmes comes back. Nah, we like Dan more simply because he actually puts the respect into Die Hard that it deserves, and shade on Wonderful Life and its validity as a Christmas movie. I'm not putting shade on Christmas on Wonderful Life. I think Wonderful Life is an amazing movie. I just like to bug people that it's not Christmassy.
I never Die Hard as a Christmas movie. I only came here to defend It's a Wonderful Life.
How much does it cost to block JB Holmes for this statement? Nothing, but if you want to do an IRL ban, I won't say his name anymore. Okay, stalled for long enough. We've already discussed my number one, but I have more to say about it than you apparently did. My number one is A Christmas Carol, the 1951 Alistair Sim version. This movie, just whether you like this movie or not, really is a side note right now. Like, this is my personal list, and for me, this movie is Christmas. I can picture almost every year laying on the floor at Grandma and Grandpa's house with the fireplace on, watching this movie, maybe falling asleep, maybe not, who knows, but like, this was Christmas Eve for years. We would go to our local church, do our pageant, whatever that's called, go back to Grandma and Granddad's house, have some finger foods like sausage rolls and stuff like that, go down and watch this Christmas movie. It was annual. It was every single year. This is my favorite version of this story, despite the fact that this story has 1,000 different versions of it that are either incredibly similar or vastly different, whether you go Spirited or Scrooge, or whether you stay similar like Muppets Christmas Carol, which is almost verbatim. This movie is 100% Christmas to me. Like, I can't think of another movie that means as much to me at Christmas time because of the memories associated with this. Our grandfather is no longer with us. Our grandmother is, but is getting very on up in age. She's 99 as of this year. So this is one of those things where everybody loves that bitch hit me with a toaster line. That's coming from multiple people as a favorite. I'm sure there are people who have a favorite Christmas Carol, and by all means leave it in the comment if you've got a different Christmas Carol version that means more to you or that you enjoy more. But this one, I can't say enough about it, and I don't know a whole lot about the history of this one, so I can't, like, I have no interesting facts or tidbits about this movie. It is simply the movie that is Christmas for me. I think I was saying, like, I'm going to force my twins to start watching this one every year too, just kind of like force them to enjoy it in the same way that I enjoy it, so that they can, you know, have that going forward. Actually, funnily enough, I told mom and dad, I think, like, I want this movie. You see this movie on Blu-ray, pick it up for me. And then I got home, went through my box of Christmas books and movies, because we keep those separate so they come out like once a year. And a brand new, in the shrink wrap Blu-ray copy of this was sitting in that box. I'm like, oh, no idea where this came from. Maybe I bought it last year and just never got to it. But it was pretty awesome. So that's definitely one that I'm going to crack open this year and take a look at. Honestly, I don't think I saw it last year. So I know that I just said it was like, this is an every year kind of thing, but I don't think we watched it last year. So this might be one we have to get out this year and go through and kind of just force it onto the next generation. But this is my number one because of what it means to me personally. All right, and that was our top 5 Christmas movies and a whole bunch of extra nonsense. Again, if you want to see the entire conversation, link will be down in the comments below. Let us know what your top 5 Christmas movies are. Let me know how much you disagree or agree with everything that we just said here. And if you want to see more of Joncooli, let me know and I'll try and book him at least a little bit more often. Other than that, everybody, you have a great night and we'll see you next time. Good luck to you.